Most trades do not waste time quoting because they do not know the work. They waste time because they keep rebuilding the same pricing again and again. Same materials, same fittings, same labour, same type of job, different customers, different address, different quantities. So the quote starts from scratch again. This is what I call the quote rebuild trap. You are not really pricing a brand new job every time. You are rebuilding old decisions. And if you're quoting from memory, spreadsheets, copied quotes or notes in different places, this is where mistakes start creeping in. One quote misses a material. Another has the wrong labour allowance. Another uses an old price. Another copies a job that had a completely different site conditions. And before long, two similar jobs have two different margins. By the end of this video, you will know how to build a simple pricing catalogue for trade work, not a complicated database, not something that takes weeks to set up, just a practical catalogue that stores the information you keep using again and again, so future quotes become faster, clearer and more consistent. And the important bit is this: a pricing catalogue is not just a list of materials, it's the memory of how your business pricing repeats work. If you're an electrician, plumber, a builder, HVAC engineer, landscaper, maintenance business or a small trade business are quoting similar work again and again, this is for you. Because most trade businesses already have a pricing catalogue. It is just usually in the worst possible place, in someone's head. You know what you normally fit. You know what you usually charge. You know roughly how long things take. You know which materials you prefer. You know which job need more time. But if all that lives in memory, it's very easy to lose consistency, especially when businesses get busier. Let's say you're an electrician quoting a small lighting job. You might have LED panels, connectors, a switch, some consumables and some control gear. If you're pricing from scratch, you need to remember a lot. What is the material cost? What markup do we normally apply? What sell price should we use? How long does each item take to fit? What quantity is needed? What uplift should we apply? This is a lot to rebuild every time. This is where most people do this quick thing. They open an old quote, copy it, change the customer name, change the address, change a few quantities, delete a few lines, add a few new ones, and hope nothing important has carried over from the old job. That feels quick, but it's risky. Because old quote, that was not just a list of items. It was built around a specific job, a specific customer, a specific site, a specific access issue, a specific labour allowance, and a specific set of conditions. So when you copy an old quote, you might also copy in old assumptions. That is the quote rebuild trap. You think you're saving time, but you may be dragging out old mistakes into the next job. A better way to rebuild reusable catalogue items, a proper catalogue item should normally include a clear description, a manufacturer part number, a material cost, a markup, a sell price and a fit time. Then when you build a quote, you can add quantity needed for that specific job. This is where a catalogue becomes useful, because you are not just saving the name of that item, you're saving the pricing logic behind the item. Let's use the lighting example. Imagine one LED panel has a 30-minute fit time. If you add one LED panel to the quote, you add one material item and 30 minutes of productive fit time. If you add 4 LED panels, you are not just adding 4 materials, you are adding 2 hours of productive fit time. 4 lots of 30 minutes. That is the difference. The quote is not just listing what you are fitting, it is starting to build a labour base. That is where pricing catalogue becomes more useful than a materials list. A material list tells you what is going into the job. A pricing catalogue helps you understand what the job creates. Material cost, sell price, labour time, quantity, markup. That gives you a much clearer starting point. Now let's make that more practical. In the real example we spoke about, the catalogue items added up to around 4.7 hours of time estimated productive fit time. That was the base, not the final billable labour. The base, then the uplift was applied. And that is the bit that matters. You should always apply an uplift, because no job happens in perfect conditions. The fit time measures the task. The uplift measures the world around the task. If the work is on a clear, open site, the uplift may be slower. If it's a commercial fit out, it may be higher. If it's a live building, a school, a hospital, an industrial site, or a restricted access job, it may need more time. The guide percentages we use are new build or open site is like 10 to 15%, commercial fit out 20 to 25, schools, hospitals, live buildings 25 to 35%, industrial site 30 to 40%, difficult access or highly restricted sites 40 to 50%. So in the real example, the catalogue built the base fit time around 4.7 hours, then the uplift was applied. The build labour became 7 hours. That is not random, that is the process. Catalogue items build the base. The uplift adjusts the base. The billable labour comes from there. This is a much better way to quote than just saying, yeah, call it a day. Now, sometimes calling it a day is commercially right. If that job is the only job that you are doing and it blocks the whole day, you may need to price it as a full day. Because by the time you travel, park, unload, set up, complete the works, pack away, invoice it, then lose the chance to fit everything else in, it has commercially taken the day. But if that same section is part of a bigger job, like 10 rooms in the same building, the pricing may behave differently. You're already there. You can move from one room to the next. The setup is spread across the larger job. You still apply the uplift, but the job context matters. That is the key. A catalogue does not replace judgment. It gives your judgment a proper starting point. Because without the catalogue, you are often judging from memory. With the catalogue, you are judging from measured base. That is the big difference. Let's use a plumber example. You will regularly quote radiator valves, basin taps, isolation valves, and pipework. If every quote starts from memory, you keep asking yourself the same questions. What valve do I normally use? What is the cost? What markup do I add? How long do I allow? Do I need consumables? What happens if access is poor? But if those common items are saved in a catalogue, the next quote starts quicker. You are not trying to rebuild the whole price. You are selecting the right items, setting the quantities, applying the correct uplift, and checking the job conditions. That is a better use of your time. Same for the builder. If you regularly quote internal doors, skirting, stud wall sections, or making good work, those common activities should not be built from scratch every time. The catalogue gives you the base. The site and scope tells you what needs adjusting. Same for the landscaper. Fence panels, concrete posts, gravel boards, patio slabs, edging. These are repeat items. The garden changes, the access changes, the quantity changes, the ground conditions change, but the core pricing items should not need rebuilding every time. And for HVAC, the same idea applies. Units, brackets, pipe runs, drain pumps, isolators, commissioning time. A lot of the work repeats, but the site conditions decide the uplift. This is why pricing catalogue helps across trades. It does not matter whether the item is a socket, tap, a door, a fence panel, or an air conditioning unit. The principle is the same. If you quote it repeatedly, it should become reusable. Here is a simple rule. If you have typed the same item into 3 quotes, it probably belongs in the catalogue, because every time you type it manually, you're making the same decision again. Description, cost, markup, the sell price, and fit time, a reference number. And when you repeat those decisions manually, mistakes are more likely. A catalogue reduces repeated thinking. It does not remove skill. It stops wasting skill on the same admin. Now, do not make the mistake of trying to build a perfect catalogue before you use it. That is where people overcomplicate this. You do not need every possible item on day one. You need the common items first, the ones you use every week, the ones that keep showing up in quotes, the ones you already priced again and again. Start there. Then build the catalogue while you quote. Every time you notice yourself typing the same item again, save it properly. Add the description, add the part number, add the material cost, add the markup, and add the fit time. Then review it later when real jobs are completed. That is how catalogue improves. Not by being perfect at the start, by being used. And this is where completed jobs become valuable. If an item has a 30-minute fit time but keeps taking 45 minutes, update it. If the job type keeps needing more allowance, review the uplift. If a material cost changes, update the item. If one supplier product keeps causing confusion, improve the description or part number. The catalogue becomes the business from its own jobs. This is why this matters as you grow. When everything lives inside one person's head, the business is fragile. If you are the only one quoting, that may work for a while, but eventually you either get busier or someone else needs to help, and that's when the cracks show. One person prices sockets one way and another prices them slightly different. One person remembers consumables, another forgets. One person applies the uplift properly, another just guesses a day rate. That is how business becomes inconsistent. A catalogue gives a business a shared starting point, not a script, not a rigid rule that ignores trade judgment, a shared database. That is what lets pricing become more consistent without making the business feel overcomplicated. The goal is not to turn quoting into a corporate process. The goal is to stop doing the same job twice, once on site and once again in your paperwork. Because rebuilding prices over and over again is still work. It just doesn't feel like site work, but it eats evenings, it delays quotes, it creates mistakes, and it makes the business harder to control. This is exactly where FieldHive fits. Not because FieldHive tells you what to charge, it does not. You still need to know your costs. You still need to understand the job. You still need trade judgment. But FieldHive is built around reusable pricing items and connecting quotes. You can save common items with material information, labour times, pricing details and product references. Then reuse them across future quotes. So instead of rebuilding the same pricing every time, the quotes start from the way your process already prices repeat work. And because FieldHive keeps the workflow connected, that information can move forward. Customers, quotes, bookings, job, invoices. The quote does not have to die when the customer says yes. It becomes part of the job record. That is the difference. So if you take one thing from this video, take this. A pricing catalogue is not just a list of materials. It is the memory of how your business prices repeat work. It helps you build quotes from reusable items. It helps you calculate base fit times. It helps you apply the right uplift. It helps you keep pricing more consistent. And it helps future quotes get better because completed jobs teach you what to change. So start simple. Pick the items you quote all the time. Add the material cost, add the markup, add the fit time, add the part number. Use the item in real quotes. Review what happened and improve it. This is how you get out of the quote rebuild trap. Now the next problem is, even with the catalogue, a lot of trade businesses still underquote labour because they only count the labour they can see. The bigger cost is often hidden around the job. This is exactly what we'll cover in the next video. How to stop underquoting labour on trade jobs.